Hey, YouTube. Hey, this is Dave Brown here. Trying out the webcam. Let's see, get it adjusted here. All right. Okay. Let's see here. Well, I was reading through a magazine. Of course, it's the January-February edition 2000 of Organic Gardening. And let me readjust there. And a lot of people are having issues. I know I am with GMO, genetically modified organisms. And the whole prospect of eating something that is put into a chemical composition or rearranged its DNA, basically, is what I'm trying to say. Rearranged its whole DNA structure so that it's no longer um, a plant, but it's something with a crossover, a makeup that now is enabling it to take the chemicals as well as all the other things that's being thrown at it supposedly, and to throw it off and be normal. But how can you put something that doesn't belong there to begin with and call it normal? Well, Rodale put out the Organic Gardening again. I'll show it to you. It's the January-February 2000 issue, and I was just reading through at the doctor's office, and I said, "Hey, can I have this? Can I have this magazine?" I'm sure a lot of people would like to see what was being put out in 2000. Rodale has a lot of good things. So the title of the article is "The Problem with Genetic Engineering: Lax regulation, hidden ingredients, and a plethora of unknowns make this brave new technology a bad bet," by John Grogan and Cheryl Long. That's the authors of this article. And they go in and talking about a new millennium is dawning, and with its age, for the first time, I quote, "humans are able to manipulate the very fabric of life, shuffling the genetic deck that controls every aspect of living organisms in a way that nature never intended." It begins in 1971 with a microscopic bacterium that was genetically altered to devour oil spills. Today, less than 3 decades later, a powerful profit-driven industry comprised largely of the same companies that have made their fortunes in chemical pesticides has sprung up around this new science. Genetically engineered crops cover an estimated 1/4 of all cropland in the United States, and about half of all the soybeans and cotton grown, and a third of all the corn. End of quote, or end of my quote. Now, in 2000, it was soybeans and cotton and corn, and now it's progressed even further, I am sure. And we are being inundated, and now they're irrigating um, mangoes, and now I see they have a new hybrid or GMO pineapple that they're trying to introduce or have introduced. Tomatoes are GMO. Um, they're trying to do something. I think it was with pine nuts or some tree that they were trying to alter, and it just gets nuttier and nuttier by the minute. Now they got frankenfish. Like that's going to be healthy. A salmon that comes traveling down your way, you catch it on your lure, you reel it in, you dig at him, and you do what you got to do, and you take it home and slice it up, and you fillet it, and you put it on your you put it on your grill, and wham, you got genetically altered fried fish. It's got to suck because all the genetics that come out of it and go right back into your system have not been tested, and I would dare say are 100% harmful. And now you're eating the GMO um, ingredients which were put into that fish or corn or whatever, body is taking it into its system, and who knows what the outcome will be. Could it be cancer, or could it be some unknown disease that we've never heard of, or could it be, God forbid, everybody turns into a bunch of zombies? I mean, all the ridiculous things with people taking bath salts. Remember that incident where they were doing the bath salts and people were freaking out, eating people's faces off? Could it turn into something like that? Well, we just don't know, but I, for one, am leery of any packaging and products today. And it does have an impact on your health. Let's read some more of the article and see what else they have to say. I'm going to skip through this. Of course, I don't want to read it all just because of time consumption, and because I don't want to bore anybody. But you know, GMO is a hot topic. So, a rising chorus, I quote, of scientists, academics, and ethics is voicing alarm at this exploding and largely uncharted technology. Jane Risler, PhD, a former biotechnology regulator with the Environmental Protection Agency, or EPA, who is now with the Union of Concerned Scientists, says we're skeptical, this is a quote, we're skeptical of the benefits of this technology, and we're concerned about the risk. We think there are better alternatives to solving challenges in agriculture, and the public should have a say in how the technology is used and developed. End of quote. The public's say is critical. Consumers have no way to know when they're eating genetically altered foods. That's because the FDA, or Food and Drug Administration, has chosen not to classify alien genes as food additives and therefore does not require that they be listed on food labels. How ironic. A bag of corn chips, for instance, must disclose that salt has been added, but it need not reveal that the corn itself has been genetically manipulated to contain its own pesticide. Grand. So now you get the plastic ingredients that are being drifting into the corn chips as it's packaged. Now you also get the pesticides. What a wonderful world we live in. At a minimum, back to the reading, at a minimum, shouldn't shoppers have the right to make informed decisions? I agree. We should have the right to make informed decisions, and if the rest of the world, like the United Kingdom and others, have already banned these, I should say, harmful ingredients, should we not? I mean, you're feeding it to the cows. That's pitiful. In the beginning, you're giving them E. coli when you give them corn to begin with, because animals were supposed to eat grass, not corn. But anyway, let's continue. Labeling is the first step because it gives people the right to choose, but I'll stop here before I read the rest of it. But who's to say they're going to be honest about the labeling? Oh yeah, it's GMO, but you know, it ain't going to hurt you. What, are they going to do it like they do the cigarette labeling? Warning, Surgeon General's warning, eating this product may cause cancer, may turn into an amphibious creature with 4 legs in the morning, may wake up barking and scratching, chasing your tail around a room if you eat this product, may wake up one morning climbing a tree, chasing after squirrels. I mean, come on. I mean, I'm not trying to be funny, but, you know, what's it going to be? You know, you wake up one morning scratching yourself thinking you got fleas, you know, or you go out and you chase a deer around, think it's rutting season, and you try to take on a deer, and you're not one. Yeah. Labeling is the first step because it gives people the right to choose, says Richard Wolfson, PhD, the Canadian chairman of the Consumer Rights to Know campaign, an umbrella organization for numerous groups that are calling for mandatory labeling and long-term testing of all genetically engineered foods. I agree. Without labeling, there's no way to trace any health effects, and there is no way to protect consumers. I have an even better one. Buy open-pollinated, heirloom, antique, or even rare, if you want to call it that, open-pollinated seeds, and grow your own. Of course, you're probably going to have to start growing them in a greenhouse if they continue to grow all these, and then even in a greenhouse may not be 100% safe. What are you going to do? Put carbon filters on both ends of the greenhouse? Um, Bury the greenhouse 90 feet in the ground and cover it with glass? Don't know. We've created our own, if you want to call it, worst nightmare. Around the world, protests continue to mount against the genetically modified frankenfoods, so they have been dubbed. The European Union has banned virtually all, hallelujah, genetically altered corn imports, effectively freezing out all U.S. corn until recently because modified varieties were not separated from the rest of the crops. The cost to American farmers is about $200 million. In 1998, Japan is demanding labeling of genetically engineered foods. Americans have been far more willing to accept such foods without question, but this is now changing. Two lawsuits demanding labeling have been filed against the FDA last spring. Congress received 500,000 signatures on petitions calling for labeling of gene-altered foods. Several other campaigns are now underway. Well, how far is that going to go? Unless people get involved, you know, I don't know. I'm not trying to be a Daisy do-gooder or a Daisy downhearter or whatever you want to call it. But unless you're involved, it's one thing just to get onto Facebook and type out your rants and yelling and screaming in caps at 90 to 100 million people, whoever's on there, or whoever reads them, or whoever bothers to read your post. That's not cutting it. Taking the bull by the horns is getting involved politically at the local levels, writing your congressman, congresswoman, depending on where you're at. I don't know what they call them in other countries, but you write those heads of state or whoever they are, and say, look, this is something that's just not in our best interest, and pretty soon you're gonna you're gonna have a, well, it's already contaminated, but you're going to completely ruin the soil, and you're going to have all this pollen, because pollen travels. You're going to have all this pollen traveling all over the world and cycling or circling around and around and around until God knows whenever. It just doesn't make sense. So you're going to have to get involved on the local levels, write, call those who are in heads of state, or congressmen, senators. Heck, leave a message with the president, but by all means, be calm about it. You know what I mean? You're not in the ring with Holyfield. You're not trying to take out a you're not trying to take out a boxer. You're not trying to win a prize. You're trying to make a point, but you're trying to come across as someone who's logical, calm, and just state your facts, state the point, your facts, and say, look, I've read, there's all kinds of articles out there, and I think this is a no-no, a really big no-no, and I don't want, personally, I don't want to eat it, I don't want my family eating it, I don't want to see my grandkids or children or anybody else's children or adults eating this, and who knows, this could be the cause of what's causing so many problems. It has been. Altered meat, you got that glue, that stupid glue that they put meat together with now. Not even real meat. You might get a turkey and you might get a chicken and you might get this and all slapped together and you call it a T-bone. Come on, really? Here are 10 reasons, and I continue to quote, here are 10 reasons why all of us should be troubled about the rapid proliferation of genetically engineered foods. One is superbugs. Of the 50 or so genetically engineered plants currently cleared by the government for use, 50? Isn't that a bit much? One's too many. Most fall into two basic categories. I still continue to quote. Plant engineered to include their own pesticides, nasty. A toxin produced by the BT, I won't even begin to pronounce that, bacterium, and plants engineered to survive weed killers, including the so-called Roundup Ready soybeans and cotton. My parents were farmers. I've been farming too, but this is just nonsense. BT is natural and highly effective pesticides that has long been used by organic growers to control caterpillars and other pests, but what organic farmers and gardeners use sparingly, biotechnology is introduced into each cell of every genetically engineered plant, from the roots to the pollen to the chaff plowed under after harvest. Because of BT's ubiquitous presence in millions of acres of crops, even the industry's own scientists can see that it's just a matter of time, as little as 3 to 5 years, before BT-resistant insect strain evolves. Well, I saw one on Facebook the other day where I think it was a beetle or a bug was now eating the very corn, I think it was, the very corn that they had used to create a so-called perfect crop. Is eating the crap out of it. Good. Hope them bugs eat all the GMO crops and leave the open pollinated heirloom, antique, and rare seeds alone. Okay, next. Directives that farmers interplant these BT carrying crops with non-modified varieties is expected to merely delay the inevitable. And when the inevitable happens, organic growers will lose their powerful pest control and conventional growers will return to chemical pesticides, unless, of course, biotechnology can come up with yet a new generation of pest-immune crops. Yeah, they already did. They've come out with another one, I think it was this year, a double dose or triple dose or quad dose of BT and some of the other stuff. Stupid. Besides, although there is no evidence that BT carrying crops hurt humans, there is something unsettling about eating foods that is itself a pesticide registered with the EPA. Unlike conventional pesticides, the built-in BT bug killer cannot be washed off in every bite. Crunch, crunch, eating BT. Oh my. They should be concerned, not laughing. You know, people are like, oh well, whatever. I'll eat my ding dong and get me some more corn chips and whatever else. You know, I'll just have fun eating all this. Oh my. Yeah, okay, sure. You eat the corn chips, and I'll go over here and grow my own crops, and you know, and be healthy, and maybe help feed some other people. But can you do that morally? Eat this stuff and then feed it to people? Somebody's conscience is not there. Number 2, superweed. Scientists also warn that some herbicide-tolerant crops are, cross-pollinating. Sure, we knew that. Anybody knows that. If you do any gardening or any type of farming, or get them close enough, or even far enough away, pollen crosses with pollen. Pollen crosses with pollen, and next thing you know, wham! You got a new crop. Duh. Scientists, really? You guys, come on. Men and women, you got to be smarter than that. You were trained with books and educated and all that in Harvard and Yale and all these other places. Is it just about the money? Is it all for the money? Is that all it is? Because if it's all for the money, that'll soon fade. The dollar is weakening by the minute. Okay. Another threat, according to Dr. Risler, is that some genetically engineered crops themselves, bred to resist insects and other natural controls, could become invasive, spreading beyond their fields and choking out other natural habitats. Well, they're doing that already. 3, pollen drift. Oh boy. Organic farmers could lose their certification and face huge financial losses if their fields are contaminated by wind-borne pollen from neighboring genetically modified crops. Even non-organic farmers are at risk for problems. In Canada, Monsanto accused canola grower Percy Schmeiser of patent infringement after the company allegedly found genetically engineered Roundup-ready canola plants in Schmeiser's field. Probably pronounced his name wrong, and I apologize. Schmeiser claims he has never planted any Monsanto seeds. Oh, a big wonder, right? After mediation efforts failed last summer, he filed a $10 million lawsuit against Monsanto, claiming libel, trespass, and contamination of his fields. Good for him. I'm glad, but I don't think Monsanto was too happy about that. But anyway, number 4, harm to wildlife. You ever watched a squirrel eat regular corn as compared to GMO? He'll eat a little of it, and the rest of it, he's like, phooey, I go over to the regular corn. Harm to wildlife. Cornell University researcher made headlines when they announced laboratory research showing that monarch butterfly larvae died after eating milkweed dusted with genetically engineered corn pollen containing the Bt pesticide. Milkweed, the monarch's primary food source, commonly grows alongside corn. Researchers in Europe have made similar discoveries involving ladybugs and green lacewings, both beneficial insects. Yet another study reported in 1997 in the British publication New Scientist indicates that honeybees may be harmed by feeding on proteins found in genetically engineered canola flowers. Well, we already know this. It's killing off honeybees by the truckloads. 5. Harm to soil. Wonder, wonder. Harm to soil. Microbiologists at New York University have found that the Bt toxin in residues of genetically altered corn and rice crops persists in soil for up to 8 months. Wow. 8 months, huh? And depresses microbial activity. And another study, scientists in Oregon tested an experimental genetically engineered soil microbe in a laboratory and found it killed wheat plants when it was added to the soil in which they were grown. Bye-bye, Miss American Pie. Number 6, human health. Well, already talked about that somewhat. Even as the biotech industry and government regulators have assured us that there is no reason to worry. Yeah. A growing body of evidence indicates that genetic engineering can cause unintended changes to our food, making it less nutritious. Wonder, wonder. Or even harmful. So should you label the can like they did saccharin? This may cause cancer. But don't put on it lab rats got cancer. Crying out loud. This may cause cancer. What are you going to do? Try it on humans next? Oh. Okay. For example, a study in 1998 and 1999 issue of Journal of Medicine Food indicates that compared with non-modified soy varieties, genetically altered herbicide-tolerant varieties may contain lower levels of potentially beneficial plant estrogens. Ooh, no wonder you talk like a lady and you're a guy. Ooh, that would be terrible, wouldn't it? Eat some of that, next day you're going around going, hey, Sheila. No, thank you. I'm a guy, stay a guy, and I ain't getting high in the voice or no other region. Another study reported in 1986 article in the International Journal of Health Services warns that milk produced from cows injected with Monsanto's controversial genetically engineered bovine growth hormone, or BGH, oh yeah, contains higher levels of growth factor that may be linked to increased levels of both breast and gastrointestinal cancers in humans. Americans have been drinking unlabeled, really, BGH produced milk for years, but it has always been banned in Canada and Europe. Somebody needs to move there. Number 7, hidden allergens. Okay. The foundation of genetic engineering is DNA, which directs the production of proteins. Yes, we know. Proteins are also a common source of human allergies. When DNA from one organism is spliced to another, then can it turn a non-allergenic food into one that will cause an allergic reaction in some people? Question mark. Will it? I feel like Max Headroom. Yes, reported researchers in the New England Journal of Medicine in 1996. The case involved an attempt by the Iowa-based biotech seed company Pioneer Hybrid International to change the protein content of soybeans by adding a gene from the Brazil nut. When researchers tested the modified soybean on people with sensitivity to Brazil nuts but no sensitivity to soybeans, they found it triggered an allergic reaction. Based on these findings, the company shelved development of soybean but wrote the author of an editorial in the same issue, the next case could be less ideal and the public less fortunate. A Brazil nut with a soybean, what do you call it? What do you call it? A Brazil, no. Soybean? Who knows? But anyway, sounds weird. Probably tastes weird too. And that would be terrible because anybody who has an allergic reaction to nuts, it's just anaphylactic shock. Number 8, religious and moral considerations. I'm with you. People who choose not to eat animals for religious or moral reasons face an almost impossible task with many genetically engineered foods. When hardness genes from flounder are spliced into, yeah, I'm about to read it, tomatoes. Can you believe it? Or genes from chickens are added to potatoes. Oh, wow, really? So it squawks and tastes like it tastes like a chicken, but it's a potato, dear. I really mean it. I didn't do anything to it. Honey, but I didn't. I didn't go to the store and get chicken broth. I promise. Dum, da dum, dum, dum. Oh, my. Or gene from chickens are added to potatoes for increased disease resistance. Are those vegetables still purely speaking vegetables? Question mark. And without mandatory labeling, how can people who object to eating any trace of meat know what they are getting? How about Soylent Green? Now it's humans. Human. Gross. 9. Antibiotic resistant. Resistance, rather. Genetic engineers use antibiotic marker genes to help them transfer genetic coding from one life form to another. But some scientists worry that this process could compound the already serious problems of antibiotic resistance in humans. Government scientists in Britain warn that the antibiotic resistance introduced into humans for genetically modified foods could render established medical treatment for such infections as meningitis and gonorrhea ineffective. We ain't gonna touch the last one. Meningitis, that's bad enough, let alone gonorrhea? Ineffective? Forget the hammer, that ain't gonna work either. Stay safe, people. Number 10. And last, indentured farmers. Because genetic engineering research is so expensive, it is largely controlled by for-profit corporations whose primary goal is to return on investment. I said it earlier. Not public good. I think I heard a pin drop. These corporations are rapidly buying up seed companies and gaining control of entire food production systems and educational research facilities. Farmers who use this patented technology, meanwhile, are prohibited from the time-honored traditions of saving seeds to use the following season. They are forced to a costly cycle of corporate dependency. Yeah. I remember when the old farmers used to take half the crop or a portion of the crop, and they would cut it for seed, corn or whatever it was that they were cutting or harvesting, and they would save that for next planting season, and the rest would go to the silo or to whoever they sold it to. But not anymore. Cut the whole thing, Leroy. Cut it all. And then you're back to square one, buying more seeds. I mean, isn't the whole point of growing something, getting the seed off of it, and replanting and starting over again? I mean, haven't you made enough money off of the monopoly of? I mean, food, yes, is medicine, and I understand that you want to make money off of medicine. But if you heal your people, if the people are allowed to be healthy, wealthy, and wise in every area, you don't need GMO. I mean, okay, so you're trying to better things. You got chemtrails, that's bad enough. You're spraying the air. Excuse me, and you've been spraying the ground for, well, ever since I can remember, and I'm 47. You've been tampering with the water ever since who knows when. And you're goofing up the air, so you pretty much, you pretty much took care of everything. So if it wasn't for God, you wouldn't get anything to grow. Now you want to control, you can't catch rainwater because it's illegal. It's our water. But it fell out of the sky. I don't see you having a faucet. Just don't make any sense, Let's conclude this with the rest of this, and we'll finish up here. The results of 50 years of chemical-based high-tech agriculture have made clear that we must rethink the way we grow food. The answer, we believe, lies in a return to sustainable, organic farming practices. Bingo! Biotechnology is merely the next rung on the chemical farming ladder, providing yet another artificial tool to help perpetuate the short-sighted and unsustainable practices of monoculture agriculture. Monsanto says its herbicide-tolerant crops reduce the need for tilling, preventing erosion, but smart organic practices, employing cover crops, mulches, and other natural techniques, control erosion just as efficiently without the use of dangerous chemicals, and they create healthy soil in the process. Traditionally, farmers have had the closest connection to the natural world and the deepest understanding of a human dependency on the diversity of wild plants and animals. Yet genetic engineering, like the generation of chemical-based solutions before it, perpetuates an agricultural model far removed from nature. Bingo. Today, the controversial farmer sits upon a giant tractor inside an air-conditioned cab, moving through huge fields of a single crop. If the birds stop singing, will he hear the silence? If the monarch butterflies stop fluttering over the milkweed in the fence row, will he even notice? Our children and grandchildren have just one future. Are we willing to risk it? And again, I quoted this from the Organic Gardening issue, January, February of 2000. And it was written by, I'll get the name for you here real quick. Let me float back here to it. Went too far. Right here. It was written by John Grogan and Cheryl Long. The problem with genetic engineering. If you want to see that in full, you can. It's in the Organic Gardening issue, January, February 2000. I said it was a doctor's office, and I was reading this, and I thought, yep, that's probably why I would say 50% of the population is in the doctor's office now. Yes, I understand people break their legs and those types of things. Those are things that you require a doctor for, but health conditions and all of those things, I believe we are in over our head with genetics and have been for years. And now that meat is being shipped to us and gassed just before it arrives to us, just so it can have that pink color once again, because it's already going bad, even from other countries. And now they pick the tomatoes and so forth green and then gas them just as they're getting ready to go on the shelf. Same way with bananas, they don't pick them yellow, they pick them green and then gas them as well. So we're doing ourselves an injustice. I love bananas just like the next person. I love tomatoes just like the next person. But if we don't locally grow our own produce with open pollinated, heirloom, rare, antique seeds in our own backyards and share the benefits and the bounty of our harvest with our neighbors and our friends and seeds as well, we're going to be in the same boat next year. And it's like the man who gets the shovel and digs the hole. He wants to dig a hole, but he doesn't know where to stop, and that's kind of where we're at. And pretty soon the hole goes so far, and you're still going. You've reached where? You know you're a heck of a long ways down, and you've got this ever-increasing hole, but you haven't gained anything, other than you've gained tons and tons of work, and you've gained muscle, and you've probably gained a hellacious appetite from digging so much. And you kept yourself busy, of course. There was a job to do because you kept digging, but you didn't achieve anything other than you just dug a doggone deep hole. So that's the way I see it. That's the way I look at it. I wanted to share that article with you, and I quoted everything. Those are not. That's not my quotes. And I respect the writers of the article, and I appreciate them for voicing their cause, their care, and their concern about those issues. And I think we need to stand with those men and women who have better interests had the best interest at heart, I should say, because they want to see everything improved as well. They want to see their health, their children's health, and so forth improve. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. How do you feel about it? You've seen this video, you've heard what I've had to say, you've heard what they had to say. Yes, you've seen some anecdotal moments, joking in a sense, but making a point. What do you think? GMOs good, bad, or who cares? Let them continue to make them. I'll eat them. Shoot, I'll even buy that new white tomato that's coming out. It's made with genetically made crap. Some more crap. You eat crap, you become crap. You look like crap. Hey, crap. Not a good thing. I wouldn't want to walk around with somebody who says, man, you look like crap. I sure do, because I ate it. Not good. I'm not trying to be funny, but if you look like crap because you ate crap, and you know, what you put in is what goes out, and that's how you'll feel. You feel crappy, you look crappy, you act crappy, you know, you live crappy. I don't want a life like that. I really don't, and I don't think we should have to live like that. I think we have the right to choose, and if we choose to do it in our own backyard or inside of our house, I think we should be allowed to do so. You know, so that's my 2 cents, 20 cents, 30 cents, penny. What do you think? What do you really think? Inbox me. You know, inbox me or even put it down in the video. Please remember to like, subscribe, and comment. Please make it a good comment, because if it's not G-rated, it'll get deleted. Trust me, I don't. I'm not a hater, but keep it G-rated. You can be civil and still make your point. So, thanks for listening, and I hope you comment, and please subscribe. Tell your friends about it as well. And remember, gardening and farming and vegetables and food are a way of life. And if we get rid of the natural, can I say, forces that be, what have you created? You created a civilization that waits upon the next meal from a chemical. Or what are you going to do? Swallow a pill? So this is David Brown for the time being. That's all I got to say. Now, what do you have to say? Take care, people, and remember, like, subscribe, and comment. Bye for now.